Alrighty, guys. So this is part B for activity 1.5b, and we are going to be learning how to practice drawing buildings in 1-point perspective. So if you aren't sure how to do the boxes, you should probably practice that first. Hop over to activity 1.5a demo to figure out how to do the boxes. Alrighty. The second stage to this is learning how to do buildings. And it's very similar actually to the boxes. We just need to add a couple of things. So when we're thinking about drawing buildings, we need to first have a horizon line, and that's where the land and the sky meet. So I'm going to go ahead and use my straight edge. Again, if you have a ruler, great, but if you don't, I'm using like a greeting card, okay? So I've got my straight edge. Any kind of a straight edge will do. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my horizon line. Now, that's basically me just creating a sort of a desert landscape right now, right? I've got sky and land, okay? So that's where the dividing line is. I'm also going to put a vanishing point in here, and you can really put it wherever you want, but it's going to sort of dictate how things look in your drawing. So for example, if I put my vanishing point over here, my buildings are going to look like they're sort of vanishing in that direction, which can be kind of nice. Let's say I wanted to create a road in my composition. That road should also go to the vanishing point. So if I use my vanishing point like that, and then maybe I put a little middle lane here in between, I'm kind of marking where the center of the road is first. And then I'm just going to go ahead and draw some of those lines that you see on the roads. Okay, so that's really easy and it looks convincing. It's like, oh wow, that road's really going off into the distance, and all I did was use my vanishing point. Okay, so your vanishing point is a must-have. When it comes to buildings, it's very similar to drawing boxes. You're just going to make them look like they have a little bit more to them. So for example, let's say I have a building here and the base of the building starts right here. Okay, so that's the base coming away from the street. To draw the side that's facing us, I'm going to go ahead and decide how tall I want the building to be. Okay, so I'm going above the horizon line because it's a tall building. So it's going to be, generally buildings are taller than you. So if you are looking at a building and you know it's taller than you, it should go above the horizon line because the horizon line is your eye level. Okay, so I've got my building. I'm going to go ahead and now draw the side of the building. And again, I'm playing into my rules of perspective where I'm taking the corners back to the vanishing point. I'm going to erase this so it looks like the building is here. And I'm going to use my straight edge to draw that side. Okay. So you can see with perspective drawing, you're going to use your straight edge and you're going to be erasing here and there. Okay. When it comes to adding things, and again, maybe I put another building here in the distance. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put another building next to it. Maybe it's a little taller. And I'm going to go ahead and end this building. They are going back in space, so be careful because, they're not going to be super wide. Okay. So there's the side. And then when I want to get the side of the building that's facing me, I'm going to use straight lines. So they're either going to be horizontal or vertical. Okay. And again, you can see I'm using my straight edge for literally everything. I'm going to put my horizon line back in here just so it doesn't get lost. Okay. So now I have buildings, but they're kind of bare looking, right? You could do the same thing over here. You're playing with those same rules of perspective. But let's say I want to add windows onto my building, like it's a city building. Well, I can just go ahead and I like to kind of hatch out where these lines are going to go. Make sure that your card is always, or your ruler is always connected to the vanishing point. Okay, and then with this side that's facing me, I can just use straight lines. So I'm going to go ahead and meet this. Okay, same thing if you wanted like a door. Your door has vertical lines. So I would just create a door like this. Okay, there's my door. Pretty simple. So you can get as detailed as you want, but it's really just about, creating an environment here where it looks convincing. I could even put a little sidewalk here. Okay, I'll just mark this out. There's my sidewalk. Maybe I want to have trees, right? Trees are another thing that maybe can be a little bit tricky. Trees really just kind of start with the general shape. You could kind of sketch it out. But let's say, for example, you're like, well, I want a tree that looks like it's going off into the distance, right? Well, you would do the same thing. You would kind of take this top of the tree and the bottom to decide where a tree off in the distance might sit. So it might be something like this. Okay, you can see that's looking convincing spatial wise, right? It's sort of getting smaller. If I take this out of here, okay, I can even put a little building over here. Let's say I decide that I want to have a small little building on this side, just a small one, like a little barn or something, right? I'm going to go ahead and make my shape first. And then I'm going to use my perspective line to draw the side going back in space. And a straight line. So vertical lines stay vertical. Okay. And what if I want to have like a little point to the roof, like a little house? I would put that in there. And then from that point, I'm going to go back to my vanishing point. Okay. So you can see anything that's facing us, the surface that's facing us, is going to just use vertical and horizontal lines, right? But any surface that's going back towards the vanishing point, you need to use the vanishing point in order to communicate that that thing is going back in space. Alrighty. So that's really how you do perspective when it comes to drawing a landscape.